Well, good Saturday morning and greetings once again from Radio Wasteland Records here in Midland. I think I timed that wrong. We're a little bit early, so hang on while I get a couple of things taken care of here, and we will get ourselves going. So how is everybody this morning? Right off the bat, let's say good morning to Chuck from the YouTube side of things. Sam saying yo to you back, Sam, as well. Gary, good morning to you, and Ann, hello, and Kevin, good morning. We got a lot of good stuff. Well, not a lot of good stuff. And Kevin, I do have your Cooper. We'll talk about that. Ready to go soonly. Jeff, good morning there, as well as Mr. Silkman. How are you? Eric, hello to you as well. Danny from Austria. Wow. Thank you for joining us via YouTube this morning. All the way. I had to take a double take and look at that. Good morning there, as well as Pat and Derek B saying hey as well. Lots of folks. Thank you guys for tuning in to our weekly update. Mid-Michigan wise, those of you here in our home state area, if you haven't looked out the window yet, you're in for a little bit of a pleasant/unpleasant surprise, so to speak. That is because we got blanketed with a little bit of snow last night on top of what was a little bit of warming. So there's some ice underneath. Good news is it's going to melt very fast. The bad news is it's going to be very slushy. We're supposed to get near 50 degrees today as well. Tim saying good morning. Dinosaur Don in the house. Dino D, how are you today? And yes, Gary G, thanks for reminding. The first Saturday without, I'm broken up over it. First Saturday without James the Younger joining us. So we shall persevere. For those of you curious, we have heard from young James and his foray into the armed services. He departed for his basic training at Air Force earlier this week, and what a week it's been. We did hear from him, albeit just a couple of quick text messages, basically saying we're not going to hear from him. He sent us a mailing address, and that was about it. But no news, good news is what we're going with. So we wish him all the best as he continues on his road that he has taken. All right, let's get to it here today. I do need to get moving because we've got a lot of stuff to cover. Yesterday was a big day here. We had a huge drop with the alicecooper Detroit stories, and it hit. And I'll tell you what, if you are curious, this is the last one that we have got in the store right now. I will try to get a hold of some more next week, but with the way things have been going, if you follow us on the record show on Wednesday nights, we had to talk with Ken Norton about some of the pressing issues with pressings that are plaguing the vinyl industry right now. So who's to know what we can get, but we're going to do our best. This is an album, double LP. We had the red vinyl version. Most of those were pre-orders. I had maybe 2 to go in the store, and they went very, very quickly. The rest of them are going to be a black vinyl version. Now, if you look at this on Discogs, there are a few other pressings. The red one that was made available in the U.S. to indie exclusives, the black vinyl version as well. But there are a couple of other, a blue vinyl version and a clear vinyl version. Now, the record was pressed in Germany. And you know what? I'm probably going to do a record show, a little bit more in-depth review on this down the line. But the other vinyl versions, they're already upwards of the $80 range on Discogs, and I think they're primarily available only in Europe. We'll see where this ends up going. Big note, if you missed it yesterday on the Cooper, we found out the hard way, as well as I think Tim and Gary each sent us notes on this after they got theirs. It's a 45 RPM. So I think I saw a note on the Michigan Record Club page that somebody played it for about 5 minutes before they realized it was actually supposed to be 45 and not Cooper being experimental with some sort of demonic voice going through there as well. Gary does say that's great. Danny says, do you also have no, we don't have the white one. All we had was the red and the black ones as well. Tim saying that as well. Greetings from the west side. Good to hear Ann is home, and a hello to both of you guys as well. All right, so I tell you what, we will do a little bit more in-depth review of this. Musically speaking, it's an interesting one, and I do have some thoughts on that. You'll have to tune in to our record show on Wednesday nights. Not this coming Wednesday. I've got something big in the plan for that, but soon. I promise that soon. Hey, speaking of those of you on YouTube as well as Facebook, if you get a chance, please hit the subscribe button, because that is going to be the way that we can kind of gauge that we're doing a good job. Also, we love for you guys to leave comments on videos, but as I found out, did some reading, if you comment on YouTube during the live, that's great because I can see you and talk to you and we can go back and forth with this. But if you comment on our videos after the live ones, after the case, or our regular videos, that actually helps boost us up on there as well. If we're good buddies with Alice now, can we ask him? Yeah, I will kind of put that out. I'll drop it. My guess is on this, John, as to why that is a 45 is, I don't want to say it's a gimmick, but I'll try to find out for certain why they did it. But it has to do a lot with the audio quality issue. You get the speed issue on there, and the higher the speed, the better the quality. In listening to this, it probably could have fit musically on a single LP, but then it would have been a little bit crowded and the sound quality may have suffered. And that thing does sound very nice. So again, we'll cover that down the line. Wayne, greetings from Northern Michigan. How far north is Northern Michigan? We sit there. And Steve, good morning. Best wishes to young James. It is, yep, San Antonio is where he is. It is a great station. And we, as we said before, wish him well as Eric saying all hail. Thank you guys very much again for that. Okay. Other releases from yesterday that we had dropped. We've got one of these left. This is the Anthrax, AKA Volume 8, AKA The Threat is Real. The Anthrax fans will argue back and forth one way or the other the proper title for this. All I know is that this is the first time that this has been available on vinyl. This was also a little scarce. As I mentioned, we've only got the one left in the store right now. Another thing I'm going to try to get a hold of more of, but we'll see where that takes us down the road. Also a big yesterday for blues on the Brit side. We had Fleetwood Mac come in. These are the only ones that are left, is the Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac and a early compilation reissue entitled The Pious Bird of Good Omen. And this is kind of a compilation of Fleetwood Mac's first couple of albums. I have to think of my discography here, but Mr. Wonderful and Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac. We did have a couple of the Mr. Wonderful reissues from yesterday. That's gone. I should be able to get more for next week if you're very, very interested in doing that as well. But if you're not familiar with the Fleetwood Mac, great Brit blues. This isn't the Fleetwood Mac from the 80s and 90s. This is the 60s and 70s. So be prepared for that. Andrew asking, do we have any copies? I had mentioned we do have, yes, one right now. I'll get more black vinyl next week, but all we have left in the store as of 9:52 a.m. on a Saturday morning. That is all there is. Nanny, yeah, great. Thank you. Okay, recent issues back in stock. We have got a copy of the Times from Neil Young. This is the acoustic versions of stuff that he had pressed during his stay in lockdown. So things like Southern Man, he does a little wing cover on there. The times they are changing. Alabama and Ohio on here as well. We've got one of those. Speaking of indie exclusives, we've got another copy, the blue vinyl version of the Foo Fighters' Medicine at Midnight, ready to go. Let's see, Pat chimes in. Very good Fleetwood Mac. He has a few of those as well. That is great stuff. A pair of Dio reissues from, I think they were from late January. We've got a Holy Diver and Last in Line. They're a little bit on the beefy side price-wise, and I don't know as if there are any other additional things on there, but they are imports as well. But some cool stuff hitting that as well. We still have a copy of the Bon Jovi, new one 2020 from him. And speaking of Alice, we have a couple of the reissues left, including the Rocktober Special Forces. This is on blue vinyl, and a couple copies of the Coop's Greatest Hits on here as well. And in the reissue side, we got a copy of the Toto 4 LP remastered Toto edition, and I forget exactly when they did the reissue on this, but that's a fairly recent one. And then finally, music on vinyl, we've got one of the Stevie Ray Vaughan, Couldn't Stand the Weathers, the MOV, fantastic sounding record. And there are extra cuts on this as well. They turned it into a 2LP set. Now, this is the way they do it. They turn it into a 2LP, but instead of spreading it out and making it 45, MOV added some extra cool cuts onto it. So we've got one of these left in stock. Now, speaking of music on vinyl, I put in the title tease there that we're taking some pre-orders for a Fountains of Wayne reissue that's coming out in a week or two on Music on Vinyl. We'll cover that with Ken Norton coming up in next week's show. And I was mistaken. It's not the Interstate Managers that everybody went wild for on that Record Store Day drop that we only got one of last year. But this is the reissue on Music on Vinyl of the 1996 album Fountains of Wayne, their self-titled one. So we will talk about that down the line. But if anybody's interested in that as a Music on Vinyl version, we will get that into pre-order and get a hold of it for you. Danny asks if we ship to Europe. You'll have to, I'll tell you what, send us a message. Normally, Danny, we do not, but we can talk. But send us an email if you could when you get a chance. Okay, on the vintage vinyl side, looking at my time, we had a biggie hit. Now, if you missed our vintage vinyl video on Friday, that came out 11, it was full of a lot of great indie music, and a lot of it very reasonably priced, but very recent indie music issues. This one, however, is a 4 LP set of The Witcher Wild Hunt soundtrack, and it is very beefy, coming in at 225 clear LPs. Discogs has got this thing close words of 300, and I didn't bother to look on the giant black hole that is eBay to see what this is going for, but this is a real cool collectible for those. I'm not familiar with what the music is. I'll listen online, and if we can give a better thing on there, but I believe that this is all going to be orchestral in nature, but you never know. We'll take a look and see at it. Also on the vintage vinyl side, I didn't put a note on this, but this is actually kind of cool. You thought I'd forgot Poland, but don't forget Poland. This is Tangerine Dreams Warsaw in the Sun. Now, in case you can't quite tell what's going on here, this is what is called a shaped die-cut picture disc. And the shape is in the shape of Poland. And typically these things played and sounded okay, but they're really more for the collectible aesthetic. And Tangerine Dream, you're going to get kind of that 80s alternative, early electronica type of music from Tangerine Dream for that, the Warsaw in the Sun. But that's kind of a cool collectible, a playable shaped picture disc that we've got set there ready for you. Also in the vintage vinyl, yesterday, we had a big drop of Johnny Cash. Yesterday would have been the Man in Black's 89th birthday. And so to celebrate, we put out a lot of it. There's still a lot of Cash left on the shelves, but some very, very cool stuff nonetheless. If you're a Johnny Cash fan, you can come pick through a lot of it. It's going to be very, very affordably priced as well. One final one, and this is kind of cool. I forget the date of issue on this, but it's going to be a 1970s issue. This is Johnny Cash's The Holy Land. And again, this is a difficult one to see, but even back then, this is a raised lenticular cover, a little 3D effect cover of Johnny Cash on the front of this. And I've seen these come through a few times. Usually the lenticular paste on top of that is cracked. This one is actually in very nice condition. Very hard to see on our little webcam, but that did exist with that kind of gimmicky album stuff in the earlier years. Rick says he needs a Fountains of Wayne, as does Tiffany. So we will get you guys taken care of. Send me some messages after the fact, because I'm going to forget by the time I say sayonara and we sign off on this. Okay. Well, that being said, I think I am coming up on time. I'm going to get the doors open. I thought I saw somebody waiting outside, so we're going to get on with our Saturday. If you have not yet done so, please, I never remember, James was always the one to help me on this, which side that subscribe button is on. It could be right here. If I say hit that subscribe button, and then later it'll pop up on there. But please do so, and give us a comment after the fact, and we would love to hear from you guys on comments of this or any of our other YouTube videos. We've got a special surprise coming up on Wednesday's record show, Black Crowes. I'll go ahead and we'll announce this. I talked this week with Steve Gorman, former drummer from the Black Crowes, and he will be featured on this week's record show Wednesday at 7 p.m.-ish, and we've got a long talk with him. We'll have to edit it down, but I'll probably put up the longer one. Gorman and I talked for probably about 45 minutes about records, about music, about playing concerts in a frozen hockey arena in northern Michigan, you name it. We talked about that. So some cool stuff coming up on the next record show as well. Danny, yep, thank you. The vibes, we're getting them. Appreciated. So, and yep, very cool. We're going to take off hopefully with that as well. In the meantime, though, for those of you in the mid-Michigan area and you want to get out and brave some slushy-ness, please do so. We will be open today from now until 6 p.m. and tomorrow Sunday from 12 noon until 5 p.m. Stop out and see us. Our parking lot is salted and cleared and plowed. The road around it, not so much. I think they're just going to wait for it all to melt. Eric, yep, we'll see you on Wednesday, sir. Thank you very much. So you guys have a great week, and we will talk to you next time from Radio Wasteland Records here in Midland. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you guys very, very much for being here. Have a great one.